My parents didn't miss my graduation. They chose my sister's brunch. The text came at 6:47 a.m. Dad's phone, auto-capitalized words. Can't make it. Sarah's bridesmaids need us. Celebrate tonight. Proud of you. 11 words for 4 years of MIT. By 10 a.m., I stood at the podium Kresge Auditorium, 1,200 guests. I dedicate this to my parents, who chose my sister's mimosas over my mechanical engineering degree. 2 empty seats, front row center. Every parent turned to look. A professor's wife filmed it. 2.3 million views by evening. Dad's entire law firm saw those empty chairs. Then the partners started calling. The email arrived at 6:47 a.m. on a Tuesday in March. I was sitting in the campus library's third-floor computer lab, surviving on 4 hours of sleep and gas station coffee that tasted like burnt dreams. My shift at the library front desk started at 7, but I'd logged in early to check my application status one more time. I'd been checking every morning for 3 weeks, watching that application under review message mock me with its professional indifference. Then it changed. Congratulations, Ethan Rivera. On behalf of the admissions committee, I am delighted to offer you admission to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology's master's program in mechanical engineering. I read it 7 times before my hands started shaking. The scholarship information came in the second paragraph. $42,000 merit-based award, renewable for the full 2-year program. Enough to cover most of my tuition. Enough to mean I might actually do this without drowning in another ocean of debt. I called my parents at 7:03 a.m. My mother answered on the 5th ring, voice thick with sleep. Ethan? It's 7 in the morning. I got in. The words tumbled out too fast. Mitt accepted me. With a scholarship. $42,000, Mom. I'm going to graduate school. Silence stretched across the line for 3 seconds. That's nice, honey. Her tone was the same one she used when I told her about getting an A on a calculus exam. Pleasant. Distant. Already thinking about something else. Your father's still sleeping. I'll tell him when he wakes up. I wanted you to know. This is MIT. It's one of the best engineering programs in the world. We're very proud of you. The words came automatically, rehearsed. Listen, I need to call you back later. Your sister has her final dress fitting today, and I promised I'd get there early to help with the veil situation. Sarah. Of course. Sure, I said. Talk later. She hung up before I could say goodbye. I sat there in the fluorescent library lighting, staring at the acceptance email on the screen, trying to remember when their reactions to my achievements had become so small. The memory surfaced without effort, sharp-edged and specific as broken glass. My 10th birthday party. We'd had it at the house, nothing fancy, just family and a few kids from my elementary school class. My mother had picked up a sheet cake from Walmart's bakery section, plain vanilla with Happy Birthday Ethan piped in blue frosting. It cost $14. I remember because I saw the receipt on the kitchen counter later that week. 3 months earlier, Sarah had turned 15. Her party had been at Giovanni's, the Italian restaurant downtown, with the white tablecloths and the string lights wrapped around the patio pergola. 23 people attended. The cake 3 tiers of custom-made chocolate raspberry torte from the French bakery on Vine Street cost $212. I knew the exact price because Sarah had posted a photo on Instagram with the caption, "When your parents love you, this much." At the time, I told myself it was because she was older. Special occasion. Milestone birthday. But then there was my 14th birthday, a $30 gift card to GameStop wrapped in newspaper comics. And Sarah's 18th, when our parents bought her a MacBook Pro for college. My high school graduation gift came in a red envelope. A $25 gift card to Olive Garden. Sarah's college send-off included a $3,000 laptop, a complete dorm furniture set from Pottery Barn, and a check for $1,500 for textbooks and expenses. I'd worked 40 hours a week that summer before college, landscaping in the Arizona heat, to afford my textbooks and the Target clearance sheets for my dorm bed. The pattern was there. I just kept pretending I couldn't see it. My phone buzzed against the library desk. Sarah's name lit up the screen. I answered without thinking. "Oh my God, Ethan, the most amazing thing just happened." Her voice was champagne bubbles and sunlight. "Derek surprised me with the venue for the bridesmaids' brunch. He booked the Langham for the weekend of my wedding. Can you believe it? The Langham. Mom and Dad are coming, obviously. It's the same weekend as your graduation thing, but you understand, right? This only happens once." My graduation thing. 4 years of 90-hour weeks, of choosing between textbooks and groceries, of falling asleep in library chairs because my night shifts at the campus bookstore ended at 2 a.m. and my engineering lab started at 7. My graduation thing. "Yeah," I heard myself say. "I understand." "You're the best little brother ever. Mom's calling, she's freaking out about what to wear. Talk soon." She hung up. I sat there holding my phone, the MIT acceptance email still glowing on the computer screen in front of me, and felt something cold and heavy settle into my chest. They'd already chosen. Before I'd even sent them the ceremony details, before I'd even asked if they were coming, they'd already decided that Sarah's pre-wedding brunch was more important than watching me graduate from one of the best engineering programs in the country. I closed the email and logged out of the computer. My shift at the library started in 4 minutes. I had 8 books to reshelve and a study room reservation system that had been glitching all week. Later, I had a 4-hour shift at the on-campus IT help desk, then a problem set due in thermodynamics 2 that I hadn't started. The MIT acceptance felt like something happening to someone else. I picked up my cold coffee and headed downstairs to clock in. My parents weren't monsters. That's the part that made it worse. Robert and Linda Rivera were good people by every conventional measurement. They paid their taxes on time, donated to the church fundraiser every Christmas, volunteered at the food bank twice a year. My father worked as a corporate lawyer at a mid-sized firm downtown. My mother taught 3rd grade at the elementary school 3 blocks from our house. They weren't neglectful. They weren't abusive. They just loved Sarah more. Not in the obvious movie villain way where they locked me in a closet or forgot to feed me. It was subtler than that, quieter. The kind of thing you couldn't quite point to in a single moment, but when you stepped back and looked at 22 years of life, the pattern emerged like one of those magic eye posters. Sarah was 6 years older than me, 28 now to my 22. By the time I was old enough to form memories, she'd already established herself as the golden child, the pretty one. The charming one, the one who made our parents' eyes light up when she walked into a room. I was the accident baby. Nobody ever said that out loud, but I'd found my birth certificate once while looking for my social security card. My parents had been married 8 years when Sarah was born. I showed up 6 years later, 3 weeks early, unplanned. The math told its own story. When I was 14, I needed a tuxedo for the spring formal. My father drove me to Men's Warehouse on a Saturday afternoon, spent 20 minutes looking at price tags, and finally said, "You know, you could just wear dress pants and a nice shirt. Nobody's going to care." I ended up working weekend shifts at the neighbor's landscaping company for 6 weeks, pulling weeds in 100-degree Arizona heat to afford the $70 tux rental myself. That same year, Sarah graduated from college. Our parents bought her an $800 graduation dress from Nordstrom. I remember because my mother showed me the receipt, laughing about the price, saying, "Can you believe it?" When I graduated high school 4 years later, my gift came in that red Olive Garden envelope. $25. Sarah's college send-off had included $3,000 worth of furniture, electronics, and just-in-case money. My mother hugged me after the ceremony and said, "We're so proud of you, honey. Make sure you use that gift card somewhere nice." I'd spent it on a statistics textbook at the campus bookstore. College was 4 years of financial gymnastics. I applied for every scholarship I could find, filled out the FAFSA 3 times to make sure I hadn't missed any aid, and still graduated with $67,000 in student loans. I worked 30 hours a week at the campus library, shelving books and fixing printer jams, and explaining to freshmen how the Dewey Decimal System worked. I lived off campus in a basement apartment that cost $400 a month and smelled like mildew and old carpet. My furniture came from Craigslist in the alley behind the campus apartments on move-out day. I ate ramen and pasta and whatever I could cook on a hot plate because my landlord didn't allow real stoves. My parents visited campus once in 4 years. They stayed for 45 minutes, looked around my apartment with expressions I couldn't quite read, and left to drive 6 hours home. My mother sent a check for $50 2 weeks later with a note that said, "For groceries." Sarah got a monthly allowance of $300 for all 4 years of her college experience. I know because she mentioned it casually once over Thanksgiving dinner during my sophomore year, talking about how she'd spent her parent money on a weekend trip to Vegas. My father laughed. My mother refilled Sarah's wine glass. Nobody looked at me. The week before my MIT graduation, I'd asked my parents if they needed help booking a hotel. My father had cleared his throat. "Actually, we need to talk to you about that." My stomach dropped before he even continued. "Your sister's wedding is coming up, and there's a lot going on that weekend. The bridesmaids are doing a brunch thing the morning of your ceremony. Sarah really wants us there. You understand, right? It's her big day." "My graduation is my big day," I'd said quietly. "Well, yes, but you'll have other achievements. Sarah's only getting married once." My mother's voice was gentle, reasonable, like she was explaining why we couldn't get a puppy when I was 7. "We'll celebrate with you that evening. We can go out to dinner. Somewhere nice." Somewhere nice. Not MIT's Kresge Auditorium, where I'd be walking across the stage in front of 1,200 people after 4 years of sacrifice they'd never witnessed. Somewhere nice, like a mid-tier restaurant chain where they could spare 2 hours between wedding preparations. I'd nodded. Said okay. Hung up the phone. Then I'd pulled up my banking app and looked at the comparison I'd been tracking for 3 years. Money my parents had spent on Sarah from age 18 to 28. Approximately $127,000. College apartment furniture, monthly allowances, spring break trips, car down payment, grad school application fees, and now the wedding by whoosh $1,000 budget they'd agreed to without hesitation. Money spent on me during the same age range. $11,000. Tuition help for 1 semester when I'd nearly had to drop out, the $50 grocery checks every few months, birthday and Christmas gifts that averaged maybe $200 per year. The math was stark. Undeniable. I'd always known I was second place. I just hadn't known by how much. Graduation morning arrived with the kind of perfect weather that feels like mockery. Cloudless sky. Temperature already climbing towards 75 degrees by 7 a.m. The kind of May morning that shows up in college brochures and makes people believe in new beginnings. I'd been awake since 5. Couldn't sleep. Kept checking my phone, some stupid, childish part of me still hoping my parents would text to say they'd changed their minds, that they'd realized how this looked, that they were on their way. At 6:47 a.m., my phone finally buzzed. Dad's contact name lit up the screen. My hands were shaking when I opened the message. "Can't make it. Sarah's bridesmaids need us. Celebrate tonight. Proud of you." All caps, auto capitalization, from his phone's voice to text. He hadn't even typed it himself, just spoke it into his phone while probably driving to the Langham. 11 words. 4 years of work. $67,000 in debt. 312 shifts at the campus library. Countless nights choosing between sleep and studying. And my father had given me 11 auto-capitalized words. I read the message 47 times. Sitting on the edge of my bed in my apartment, already dressed in my cap and gown, I read those words until they stopped looking like language and started looking like proof. Proof that I'd always been right about where I stood in their hierarchy. Proof that no amount of achievement would ever be enough to compete with Sarah's most mundane moments. Proof that I was alone in this. My phone buzzed again. A text from Marcus, my roommate. "You good?" "We need to leave in 30. I typed back, "Yeah." Ready. I wasn't ready. The ceremony started at 10 a.m. at Kresge Auditorium, MIT's iconic cylindrical building that looked like a geometric UFO. I'd been there dozens of times for lectures and presentations. But walking in that morning wearing my graduation gown felt surreal. 1,200 people filled the space. I'd reserved 2 seats in the front row, Section A, specifically for my parents. Put my backpack on one chair and my program on the other to save them. Kept checking the entrance doors between 9:45 and 9:58, watching families pour in, watching graduates hug their parents and pose for photos. At 9:59, I moved my backpack. Took out 2 white roses I'd bought from the campus flower shop the day before. Placed one on each empty chair. The woman next to me, someone's grandmother, gray hair and kind eyes, leaned over. "Are those for your parents, dear?" "Yeah," I said. "They couldn't make it." Her face did something complicated. "I'm so sorry." The ceremony began at 10:03. I sat there in Section A, Row 1, with 2 white roses marking the absence on either side of me, and watched every other graduate in my row take photos with their families. Watched parents cry. Watched younger siblings hold up phones to record their brothers and sisters crossing the stage. When they called my name, Ethan Michael Rivera, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering, magna cum laude, I walked across that stage alone. No one screamed my name. No one held up a sign. No one took a photo. I shook the dean's hand, accepted my diploma, and walked off the other side of the stage to polite applause from strangers. Back in my seat, I picked up my phone. The screen showed 3 new texts. Sarah. Having the best time at brunch. Mom and Dad say hi. Below it, a photo. My parents at a white-clothed table with champagne flutes. My mother wearing a lavender dress I'd never seen before. My father smiling wider than I'd seen in years. The timestamp on the photo. 9:47 a.m. They'd been 13 minutes away. Kresge Auditorium to the Langham, Boston. 3.8 miles. A 12-minute drive. They'd been close enough to hear the ceremony if they'd opened a window. I felt something crack inside my chest. Not break. Not shatter. Just crack. Hairline fracture. The kind that doesn't show on the surface but changes the structural integrity of everything it touches. Marcus found me 20 minutes after the ceremony ended. Still sitting in my seat, while the auditorium emptied around me. "Ethan." I looked up. His face told me he knew. "They didn't come," I said. It wasn't a question. Marcus had known my parents weren't coming. I'd told him about the text that morning. But saying it out loud in the empty auditorium, with the white roses still sitting on those chairs, made it real in a way it hadn't been before. "I know." He sat down next to me. "I'm sorry." We sat there for 3 minutes without talking. Then Marcus pulled out his phone, opened Instagram, and typed my mother's name into the search bar. "Don't," I said. He ignored me. Linda Rivera's Instagram loaded. Her most recent post, uploaded 42 minutes ago. A photo of the brunch table at the Langham. Champagne bottles, Veuve Clicquot, $40 a bottle. Elaborate floral centerpieces. My mother and father flanking Sarah, all 3 of them glowing. The caption, "Celebrating our beautiful daughter's special weekend. So blessed to have this family. Number mother of the bride, number proud mom, number family first." The geotag, the Langham, Boston, posted at 9:47 a.m. The exact moment I'd been walking across the stage. Marcus turned the phone toward me. "Look at the comments," he said quietly. I didn't want to, but I looked anyway. 43 comments, all variations of the same theme. "Your family is so beautiful. Best parents ever. So much love in one photo. You raised her right." My hands had gone numb. "Check the tagged location," Marcus said. I clicked. The Langham's geotag showed 8 other posts from the same event. Bridesmaids in matching pastel dresses. Mimosas in crystal glasses. A dessert table with macarons towers that probably cost $300. One post from Sarah's maid of honor. Uploaded at 10:15. When the mother of the bride spares no expense number worth it. The photo showed my mother laughing, holding a champagne flute that caught the light. She looked happier than I'd ever seen her. Ethan, Marcus said carefully. How much do you think that brunch cost? I couldn't answer. He pulled up his laptop, found the Langham's private event pricing on a Reddit thread from someone who'd gotten married there. Minimum spend for their brunch events, $3,000. That's before alcohol. $3,000. I'd asked them for $200 to help buy the graphing calculator I needed for my junior year engineering courses. They'd said money was tight. My phone buzzed. Mom, how was the ceremony? We'll meet you for dinner at 6. Dad's picking the place. I stared at the message for 30 seconds. Then I opened my phone settings and turned on automatic backup for photos and texts. Something was shifting in my chest. That hairline crack widening into something structural. I didn't respond to my mother. Instead, I opened my banking app and logged into the family Venmo account, the one we all still shared from when I was in high school. Originally set up so my parents could send me lunch money, I hadn't checked it in months. I started scrolling. And that's when I saw it. Every transaction from the past 18 months, every payment to Sarah, every dollar they'd claimed they didn't have when I'd needed help with textbooks or groceries, or 1 month's rent when I'd been $300 short. My stomach turned over. Marcus, I said quietly, I need to show you something. He leaned over to look at my phone screen. The numbers were there. Undeniable. Documented. And I realized, sitting in that empty auditorium, with 2 white roses wilting on empty chairs, that I'd been collecting evidence without even knowing it. The crack in my chest widened into something that felt almost like clarity. This wasn't going to end with a dinner at 6. This was going to end very differently. I didn't go to dinner that night. My mother called at 5:47. I let it go to voicemail. Dad called at 6:03. Same. Sarah texted at 6:34. Where are you? Mom's worried. I turned my phone face down on my desk and opened my laptop instead. Marcus sat across from me in our apartment's cramped living room, eating leftover Thai food from 2 nights ago. He hadn't asked what I was doing. He'd just grabbed his computer and started working on his own project, existing in parallel silence the way good friends do when words would only make things worse. I went back to my mother's Instagram. The brunch photo had been up for 8 hours now. 62 likes, 47 comments, all of them glowing, performative, completely unaware of what that champagne toast had cost. I scrolled down to her previous posts. April 28th. Photo of Sarah's bridal shower. Caption. My baby girl's special day. So grateful to celebrate her. 17 likes. My mother wore a coral dress I'd never seen. The venue looked expensive, white drapes, gold Chiavari chairs, a dessert table with 3 tiers. April 14th. Sarah's bachelorette party send-off. 6 bridesmaids in matching pink shirts that said, Bride Tribe. Caption. Sending my daughter off to Miami in style. Number proud mom. 23 likes. March 22nd. Photo of a dress on a hanger. White lace, floor length. Caption. Found the dress for my daughter's big day. Worth every penny. 31 likes. I kept scrolling. February 10th. January 18th. December 9th. Every single post for the past 6 months was about Sarah. The wedding, the planning, the excitement. I searched my own name in her photo archive. The last time my mother had posted about me, November 14th, 2 years ago. A family Thanksgiving photo where I was partially cropped out of the frame. No caption mention. Just grateful for family with Sarah tagged front and center. My stomach felt hollow. I opened a new tab and logged into Sarah's Instagram. Her feed was a wedding shrine, engagement photos, venue tours, dress fittings, registry links, every post meticulously curated, sponsored content from wedding vendors mixed with personal photos. I found the brunch post. Sarah had uploaded 5 photos from the Langham. In the third one, I could see the itemized receipt sitting on the table's edge, partially visible behind a champagne bottle. I zoomed in. The image quality was just high enough to read the total at the bottom. $4,847. $847. For brunch, for mimosas and eggs Benedict and the privilege of celebrating in a venue that cost more than my entire month's rent. I screenshotted it, saved it to a folder on my desktop labeled Graduation. Then I went back further in her timeline. The bachelorette party. 7 women. 4-day Miami trip. Sarah had posted photos from their oceanfront hotel, the W South Beach. I looked up the room rates. Minimum $300 per night. Times 4 nights. Times 7 rooms. $8,400 minimum. A photo from March showed shopping bags from Bal Harbour, Gucci, Prada, Dior. Caption: Mom said yes to the dress and the shoes. Number blessed. Another photo, February, a screenshot of a wire transfer confirmation. Sarah had cropped most of it, but the visible portion showed transfer to Opal Events & Co. amount $12,500. Memo: wedding deposit. I opened a notes document and started typing. Sarah's wedding expenses, visible from social media. Brunch at the Langham, $4,847. Bachelorette party, estimated, $8,400. Bridal shower venue, estimated from Geotag, the Garden Conservatory, $1,200. Wedding dress mentioned in comments as Vera Wang, $8,000 plus. Wedding planner deposit, $12,500. Total confirmed, estimated, $34,947, and that was just what Sarah had publicly posted. I sat back in my chair. Marcus looked up from his laptop. You okay? They spent almost $35,000 on her wedding events in the last 6 months. My voice sounded distant. That I can see. From Instagram. He set down his food. Ethan, I asked my mom for $200 last September. For my heat bill. It was either that or freeze through the first cold snap. I was staring at my screen, watching the numbers blur slightly. She said they were stretched thin. That Dad's firm had been slow. When was that? I pulled up my text history with my mother, found the conversation. September 18th. I cross-referenced it with Sarah's Instagram. September 22nd. Post from Sarah showing a surprise weekend trip to Martha's Vineyard. Caption: when your parents surprise you with a pre-wedding getaway. Number: best parents ever. 4 days after telling me they were stretched thin. The hollow feeling in my stomach turned sharp. I need to see the Venmo account, I said. Marcus wheeled his chair closer. Show me. I pulled it up on my laptop. Logged in with the family account credentials that hadn't been changed since I was 17. The transaction history loaded. And I realized I'd been sitting on evidence for 18 months without knowing it. The first transaction was dated January 8th. Linda Rivera, Sarah Rivera, $1,200. Bridal shower venue deposit. I stared at it. $1,200. Sent at 3:34 p.m. on a Thursday. I remembered January 8th. That was the day I'd texted my mother asking if they could help me pay for my spring semester textbooks. I'd needed $400 to cover the engineering manuals that weren't available used. She'd responded 6 hours later. Honey, we just don't have extra money right now. Can you use the library copies? I'd ended up taking out an additional student loan for $800 to cover books and the lab fees I couldn't avoid. 6 hours after telling me they had no extra money, my mother had Venmo'd my sister $1,200. I scrolled down. January 15th. Robert Rivera, Sarah Rivera, $600. For the dress alterations princess. January 29th. Linda Rivera, Sarah Rivera, $950. Spa day before the big day. You deserve it. February 3rd. Robert Rivera, Opal Events & Co. $2,500. Additional wedding planning services. February 18th. Linda Rivera, Sarah Rivera, $450. Shoes for the reception dress. I kept scrolling. Every week, sometimes twice a week, payments to Sarah, payments to wedding vendors, payments to bridal boutiques and caterers and florists. My hands were shaking. Marcus leaned closer to the screen. How much is that so far? I opened a spreadsheet, started entering the numbers. January. $3,840. February. $4,290. March. $2,670. April. $5,180. May. $1,950. Through May 12th, the day before my graduation, the total came to $17,930. $17,930 in 5 months. I cross-referenced the dates with my own text message history. March 3rd. I'd asked for $300 to cover an unexpected car repair. My 15-year-old Honda had blown a head gasket. I needed the car to get to my library job. My mother's response: "We're really tight right now with the wedding expenses. Can you take the bus for a while?" I'd taken out a credit card with a 24% interest rate and charged the repair. Still paying it off. March 6th. My father had Venmo'd Sarah $600 for dress alterations. 3 days after telling me they were too tight from wedding expenses, my throat felt like I'd swallowed sand. April 19th. I'd asked if they could help with my graduation cap and gown rental. $65. My father's response: "Son, you're about to have a master's degree. You need to start being financially independent." April 23rd. My mother Venmo'd Sarah $850 for the bachelorette party bar tab. I kept scrolling through the Venmo history. The payments didn't stop. May 2nd. Linda Rivera, The Langham, Boston. $2,800. Bridesmaids Brunch, final payment. The brunch, the one they'd chosen over my graduation. $2,800. Not the full cost. The receipt Sarah had posted showed $4,847. This must have been the final payment after a deposit. My vision was tunneling. I scrolled faster, going back further. Before January. Before the wedding planning officially started. October 12th. Previous year. Robert Rivera, Sarah Rivera. $750. For your birthday weekend trip. October 12th. My 22nd birthday had been October 9th. I'd gotten a text from my parents at 11:47 p.m. "Happy birthday. Sorry we missed calling earlier. Crazy day. We'll celebrate next time we see you." They'd sent Sarah $750 3 days later for a birthday trip. My birthday gift had arrived 2 weeks late in the mail, a $50 Amazon gift card. August 4th. Linda Rivera, Sarah Rivera. $1,100. Furniture for the new apartment. June 20th. Robert Rivera, Sarah Rivera. $900. Just because we love you. I scrolled back 18 months. Every month, multiple transactions. Sometimes small 100 here, 200 there. Sometimes large $1,000 furniture payments, $1,500 just because gifts. I added it all to the spreadsheet. 18 months of transactions to Sarah. $47,283. $47,283. My hands had stopped shaking. They'd gone completely still. "Ethan." Marcus's voice was quiet. "How much did they give you in the same time period?" I didn't need to check. I already knew. $300. My voice sounded like it was coming from underwater. Total, $50 for my birthday last year, $100 for Christmas, $50 for groceries in February, another $100 when I had the flu and missed a week of work. $300 over 18 months. Sarah had gotten $47,000. The ratio was so absurd it felt fictional. Marcus was typing something on his laptop. "Look at this." He turned his screen toward me. He'd pulled up a calculator. $47,283 divided by 18 months equals $2,000 $626.83 per month. $300 divided by 18 months equals $16.67 per month. They gave her $2,600 a month, Marcus said slowly. They gave you $16. The number hung in the air between us. $16 a month. Less than $1 a day. Less than a coffee. I closed my eyes. When I opened them, Marcus was watching me with an expression I couldn't quite read. "This isn't favoritism," he said quietly. "This is financial abuse." I couldn't sleep that night. At 2:37 a.m., I was still sitting at my desk, staring at the spreadsheet. The numbers had started to blur together hours ago, but I kept looking anyway. Like if I stared long enough, they'd rearrange themselves into something that made sense. They didn't. I started building a timeline instead. Not just the money, the whole pattern. Every time they'd said no to me and yes to Sarah. Every time they'd claimed poverty while funding her lifestyle. Every lie I'd accepted because I'd wanted to believe my parents weren't capable of this level of cruelty. I opened a new document and titled it, "The Truth in Chronological Order." September, sophomore year. Me, asked for $200 for heat bill. Told, money is tight. Sarah, given $800 for surprise Martha's Vineyard weekend trip. Posted on Instagram 9/22. October, sophomore year. Me, 22nd birthday. Received $50 Amazon gift card, 2 weeks late. Sarah. Parents Venmo'd $750 for birthday weekend trip on 10/12. November sophomore year. Me. Asked for $150 to replace broken laptop charger. Told to make it work with library computers. Sarah. Given $920 for Black Friday shopping trip. Posted photos of purchases on Instagram 11/26. December sophomore year. Me. Christmas gift equals $100 check. Card signed by mom only. Sarah. Christmas gifts visible in Instagram post. iPad. Designer handbag. $500 Nordstrom gift card. Per her caption. I kept typing. The timeline stretched back through my entire college career. Every semester I'd struggled to pay for textbooks while Sarah got furniture allowances. Every time I'd worked double shifts while Sarah got just because money. Every birthday where I'd received a gift card while Sarah got weekend trips and shopping sprees. The document grew to 4 pages, then 6, then 9. I added timestamps, screenshots from Instagram and Venmo, text message evidence. Every receipt I'd saved from those months when I'd lived on $16 of groceries per week while my parents sent my sister thousands. At 4:12 a.m., I reached the beginning. Move-in day, freshman year of college. My parents had driven me to campus in August, helped me carry my 3 bags and 2 boxes up to my dorm room, stayed for 45 minutes. My mother had hugged me, told me to study hard, and left me with $75 for emergencies. I'd made that $75 last 6 weeks. Sarah's freshman move-in, 6 years earlier, had been different. I'd been 12 at the time, but I remembered it clearly. We'd made a family trip out of it, spent the whole weekend. My parents had rented a U-Haul for her furniture. Spent 2 days decorating her dorm room. Taken her shopping for everything from bedding to desk lamps to a mini fridge. I pulled up the old family photos on my phone, found the album from that weekend. 23 photos, Sarah beaming in every one, our parents looking prouder than I'd ever seen them. My freshman move-in photos, 4 pictures total. One of me standing in front of the dorm building. One of my empty room before I'd unpacked. 2 of me with my roommate. 0 with my parents. The contrast was so stark it felt like looking at 2 different families. I added it to the timeline. August 4 years ago. Sarah's college move-in. Family weekend trip. U-Haul full of furniture. $3,000 plus spent on dorm setup. 23 photos taken. My college move-in. 45-minute drop-off. 3 bags of belongings. $75. Emergency money. 4 photos. None. With parents. By 5:30 a.m., I had a complete document. 15 pages. Single-spaced. 47 specific examples of financial disparity over 4 years. Every example dated, sourced, cross-referenced. I titled it, 4 Years of Being Second. Marcus's door opened. He shuffled into the kitchen, saw me still at my desk, and stopped. "You didn't sleep." "Couldn't." He poured coffee, brought me a cup without asking. I showed him the document. He read in silence for 7 minutes. I watched his expression shift from tired to awake to something harder, angrier. When he finished, he set the laptop down carefully. "Ethan, this is evidence." "Of what?" "I don't know yet. But this isn't just family drama." He pointed at the screen. "This is documented financial negligence at minimum, possibly emotional abuse. And you've got 18 months of receipts." My phone buzzed on the desk. "Mom. Ethan, you missed dinner. We're worried. Call me when you can." I looked at the message. Then at the timeline. Then at the Venmo transaction still open in another tab. $47,000 to Sarah. $300 to me. I picked up my phone and typed, "I'm fine. Busy with post-graduation stuff. Talk soon." I didn't mean it. Marcus was watching me. "What are you thinking?" "I'm thinking," I said slowly, "that I need to talk to a lawyer." He nodded, didn't look surprised. "I'm also thinking," I continued, "that Sarah's wedding is in 8 weeks. June 26th, 200 guests. Open bar. The venue alone cost $30,000, according to her Instagram. And?" I looked at the timeline on my screen. 4 years of documented proof that my parents had chosen Sarah over me in every way that mattered. And I think it's time everyone else saw the receipts, too. Marcus's expression shifted into something that looked like grim satisfaction. "I know a family lawyer," he said. "My cousin went through something similar with her parents. Not this extreme, but close. I can get you a number." "Do it." He pulled out his phone. I saved the timeline document, backed it up to 3 different cloud storage accounts, printed a physical copy. The sun was starting to rise outside the apartment window. I'd been awake for 24 hours. I felt exhausted and wired all at once. My graduation gown was still hanging on the back of my bedroom door. I thought about those 2 empty chairs, those white roses, that 11-word text, and I thought about my mother's Instagram post, her champagne-bright smile. That caption about being blessed and grateful. While I'd sat alone in an auditorium full of strangers, my phone buzzed again. "Sarah. Mom says you're being weird. What's going on?" I didn't respond. Instead, I opened a new folder on my desktop and labeled it, Wedding Speech, Draft 1. Marcus saw the folder name. Raised an eyebrow. "You're going to their wedding?" "Oh, I'm absolutely going to their wedding," I said. My voice sounded different, calmer. "Colder? I'm going to give a toast." Marcus made the call at 6:47 a.m. I listened to him talk to his cousin in low tones from the kitchen, explaining the situation in careful language. Financial neglect, and documented disparity, and emotional damages. Legal words that made my family sound like a case study instead of the people who were supposed to love me. He hung up after 4 minutes. "Her lawyer's name is Jennifer Kowalski, family law specialist in Boston. She handles estate disputes, inheritance cases, parental financial abuse." Marcus typed something into his phone. "My cousin says she's tough, doesn't take bullshit. She can see you tomorrow at 2. "Tomorrow." "Saturday. She does weekend consultations for urgent cases." He looked up. "I told her this was urgent." I nodded. My head felt light. Marcus set his phone down and pulled a chair up to my desk, sitting directly across from me with the kind of deliberate eye contact that meant he was about to say something important. "Before you go talk to a lawyer, I need to ask you something." "Okay. What do you actually want out of this?" His voice was steady, not judging, just clarifying. "Because once you start legal proceedings, or once you make that wedding speech, there's no taking it back. Your family will fracture. probably permanently. I'd been thinking about that for the past 3 hours. I know. So, what's the goal? Money? Apology? Public accountability? I looked at the timeline document still open on my screen. 15 pages of proof that I'd never mattered as much as Sarah. That every time my parents had said we can't afford it, they'd meant we can't afford it for you. I want them to stop being able to lie, I said slowly. To me. To themselves. To everyone on Facebook who thinks they're parent of the year. Marcus nodded. Public exposure. Yeah. And the lawyer? I want to know if what they did is actually illegal or just cruel. I rubbed my eyes. They felt like sandpaper. I want someone with legal authority to tell me I'm not crazy. That this isn't normal. That the math actually means what I think it means. It means they gave your sister 157 times more money than they gave you. The number hit differently when someone else said it out loud. 157 times. Jesus! I whispered. Yeah. Marcus leaned back. For what it's worth, I think you're doing the right thing. Not the easy thing, but the right thing. You think I should do the wedding speech? He considered that for a long moment. I think, he said carefully, that your sister is getting married in front of 200 people who all believe your parents are generous, loving, selfless. I think those same 200 people have no idea that you sat alone at your MIT graduation while your parents drank $40 champagne 4 miles away. And I think the only way to break that illusion is to shatter it publicly, with evidence, in a way they can't ignore or explain away. So yes, he smiled grimly. But lawyer first, make sure you're not opening yourself up to a lawsuit. Can they sue me for telling the truth? Rich people sue for anything. He grabbed his coffee. Your dad's a corporate lawyer. He knows how to make your life hell even if he can't win. That was true. My father spent 40 hours a week finding legal loopholes for companies that wanted to avoid accountability. He'd absolutely use those skills against me if I embarrassed him publicly. Then I need the evidence to be airtight, I said. Marcus grinned. Good thing you're an engineer. You know how to build things that don't break. Jennifer Kowalski's office was in a converted brownstone in Back Bay, 20 minutes from campus by subway. I arrived 15 minutes early, sat in the small waiting room with its leather chairs and legal journals and abstract art that probably cost more than my car. Marcus had offered to come with me, but I'd told him no. This felt like something I needed to do alone. At 1:58, the receptionist called my name. Jennifer Kowalski stood when I entered her office. Mid-40s, gray suit, dark hair pulled back in a bun. She shook my hand with the firm grip of someone who'd spent years negotiating settlements. Mr. Rivera, please, sit. I sat. She didn't waste time on pleasantries. Marcus's cousin gave me a brief overview of your situation. Parents missed your graduation for your sister's wedding event. Financial disparity in how they support you versus your sibling. You've documented 18 months of transactions. She folded her hands on the desk. Walk me through it. Start with graduation day. I told her everything. The 6:47 a.m. text, the empty chairs, the Instagram posts from the Langham, the Venmo account I'd discovered, the $47,000 versus $300. The timeline I'd built showing 4 years of being systematically deprioritized. She took notes on a yellow legal pad. Didn't interrupt. Didn't react. When I finished, she set down her pen. Do you have the documentation with you? I handed her a USB drive. Venmo screenshots, Instagram archives, text message logs, bank statements, the full timeline, and a spreadsheet with every transaction I could verify. She plugged the drive into her laptop, spent 6 minutes reviewing the files in silence. Finally, she looked up. Mr. Rivera, I'm going to be very direct with you. What your parents did is not illegal. My stomach dropped. Parents have complete discretion over how they allocate financial resources to adult children. There's no law requiring equal treatment. They could give your sister $1 million and give you nothing, and you'd have no legal recourse. So I have no case. I didn't say that. She turned her laptop toward me. You don't have a criminal case, but you might have a civil case for intentional infliction of emotional distress. What does that mean? It means if you can prove that your parents' conduct was so extreme and outrageous that it caused you severe emotional harm, you could sue them for damages. She clicked through my timeline. The challenge is that financial favoritism alone usually isn't enough. Courts are reluctant to intervene in family dynamics. But the graduation incident combined with this financial pattern might meet the threshold. She pointed at the screen. They missed your MIT graduation, a major life achievement for a brunch. They were 3.8 miles away. They posted about it on social media while you were walking across the stage. That's not just favoritism. That's calculated cruelty. The words hung in the air. Calculated cruelty. If you wanted to pursue this legally, she continued, we'd file a civil suit. Discovery would force them to produce all financial records. We'd depose them under oath. It would take 8 to 12 months. Cost you about $5,000 minimum in legal fees, more if it goes to trial. What would I get if I won? Monetary damages, maybe $20,000 to $30,000 if the judge is sympathetic, plus your legal fees covered. She closed the laptop. But that's not guaranteed. Family law cases like this are unpredictable, and it would destroy your relationship with your parents permanently. It's already destroyed. She studied me for a moment. Is it? Because from where I'm sitting, you still respond to their texts. You still care enough to be hurt by this. That means there's still a relationship to lose. I thought about my mother's voicemail. The worry in her voice. The complete lack of awareness that she'd done anything wrong. What if I don't want to sue them? I said. What if I just want to expose what they did publicly? Jennifer leaned back in her chair. Then we're talking about a different strategy entirely, and you need to be very careful. Why? Because your father is a lawyer. If you publicly accuse them of abuse or neglect, he could sue you for defamation. Even if everything I say is true, truth is a defense against defamation, but you'd have to prove it in court, and proving emotional harm is subjective. She tapped her pen against the desk. However, if you stick to objective facts, dollar amounts, dates, screenshots, direct quotes, you're on much safer ground. Facts aren't defamatory. So I can show the Venmo transactions. Yes. The Instagram posts. Yes. The text messages. As long as you're a party to those messages, yes. She pulled out a fresh legal pad. If you're planning some kind of public exposure, and I'm guessing that's why you're really here, keep it factual. Show numbers, show receipts, don't editorialize, don't call them names. Just present the evidence, and let people draw their own conclusions. At my sister's wedding, she didn't look surprised. That's your plan? 200 witnesses. Half my extended family. All the people who think my parents are generous and loving. I met her eyes. Yes. Jennifer was quiet for a long moment. I can't advise you to do that, she said finally. It will cause a scene. It will humiliate your family. It will likely end any chance of reconciliation. But, is it legal? As long as you're telling the truth and you're not violating any venue rules or verbal contracts, yes, it's legal. She wrote something on the pad. It's also thermonuclear. Good. She slid a business card across the desk. If they sue you afterward, call me immediately. I'll represent you. You think they will? I think your father will be furious and humiliated. And lawyers who are furious and humiliated tend to retaliate legally. She stood, extending her hand. But if your evidence is as solid as it looks, he won't have a case. Just make sure you stick to facts. No embellishment, no exaggeration. The truth is damning enough. I shook her hand. Thank you. One more thing, Mr. Rivera. She walked me to the door. After you do this, Whatever you decide to do, get a therapist. This kind of family fracture leaves damage even when you're right. Especially when you're right. I nodded. I left her office with a business card in my pocket and a new document title forming in my head. Wedding toast. Facts only. I spent the next 6 days building the presentation, not writing a speech. Building evidence. Jennifer's advice echoed in my head. Facts. Numbers. Screenshots. Let people draw their own conclusions. So that's what I did. I created a PowerPoint presentation. 37 slides, clean design, white background, black text, no commentary, just documentation. Slide 1. Title: A Tale of Two Children. The Financial Reality of the Rivera Family. Slide 2. The question: Over the past 18 months, how much financial support did Robert and Linda Rivera provide to their 2 adult children? Slide 3. Sarah's support. Total: $47,283. List of every Venmo transaction, with dates and amounts. Slide 4. Ethan's support. Total: $300. List of every transaction. $50 birthday, $100 Christmas, $50 groceries, $100 flu recovery. Slide 5. The ratio. Sarah: $2,627 month. Ethan: $16.67 month. Ratio: 157 to 1. Slide 6. Context. For perspective, Sarah received more money in 1 week than Ethan received in 18 months. I kept building. Slides documenting specific incidents. Screenshots of text messages where I'd asked for help, juxtaposed with Venmo transactions to Sarah from the same week. Slide 12. March 3rd. Left side. My text. Mom, my car broke down. Head gasket. I need $300 for the repair. Can you help? Right side. Her response: We're really tight with wedding expenses. Can you take the bus? Slide 13. March 6th. Venmo screenshot. Linda Rivera, Sarah Rivera, $600. For dress alterations, sweetie. Slide 14. The math. 3 days after claiming they were really tight, my parents sent Sarah twice the amount I'd requested. I didn't editorialize, didn't add commentary about how that felt. Just showed the facts and the timeline. The presentation built to graduation day. Slide 27. May 13th, 6:47 a.m. Screenshot of my father's text. Can't make it. Sarah's bridesmaids need us. Celebrate tonight. Proud of you. Slide 28. May 13th, 9:47 a.m. Instagram screenshot from my mother's account. Photo of her and dad at the Langham. Champagne glasses raised, smiling. Caption: Celebrating our beautiful daughter's special weekend. Number mother of the bride, number proud mom. Timestamp visible. 9:47 a.m. Geotag. The Langham, Boston. Slide 29. Context. MIT graduation ceremony. Began at 10 a.m. The Langham, Boston. 3.8 miles from Kresge Auditorium. Drive time, 12 minutes. Slide 30. The empty chairs. Photo Marcus had taken. 2 empty seats in the front row of Kresge Auditorium. White roses laid across them. Other families visible on either side, taking photos of their graduates. Slide 31. The cost. Itemized receipt from the Langham, pulled from Sarah's Instagram post, zoomed in. Bridesmaids brunch. $4,847. For context, 4 years of MIT tuition Ethan paid alone, $67,000 in student loans. Slide 32. What they could have done. Distance from Langham to MIT, 3.8 miles. Time required to attend graduation, 2 hours. Cost to attend, $0. I built the final slides with shaking hands. Slide 35. The question: is this favoritism or is this abandonment? Slide 36. The answer: I'll let you decide. Slide 37. Thank you. Thank you for being here for Sarah's special day. I hope you understand why I needed you to see this. Marcus reviewed it on Wednesday night. He sat in silence for 11 minutes, clicking through every slide twice. When he finished, he closed the laptop carefully. Ethan, this is devastating. Is it too much? No. He shook his head. It's not too much. It's not enough. The numbers are so extreme that if you'd told me this story without evidence, I wouldn't have believed you. That's why I need to show them. 200 people are going to see this. Good. He looked at me for a long moment. You're sure? Because once you hit play on that projector, there's no taking it back. Your parents will never forgive you. Sarah will hate you. Half your family will probably take their side. I thought about those empty chairs. I thought about the 6:47 a.m. text. I thought about 4 years of asking for help and being told, money is tight, while my sister got thousands of dollars for birthday trips and shopping sprees and furniture she didn't need. I'm sure. Marcus nodded. Then we need to make sure the technical execution is perfect. I'll help you figure out the venue's AV setup. We need to know exactly how to access the projector without anyone stopping you. How do we do that? He grinned. We call the venue and pretend we're helping with the wedding setup. I'll say I'm part of the AV crew. Ask about equipment specs. Get the info we need. That's insane. That's espionage. He grabbed his phone. What's the venue name? The Estate at Moraine Farm. He Googled it. Found the event's coordinator's number. Put the phone on speaker. A woman answered on the second ring. Estate at Moraine Farm. This is Diana. Marcus slipped into character seamlessly. Hi Diana, this is Marcus Chen. I'm part of the technical crew for the Rivera wedding on June 26th. Just confirming the AV equipment specs for the reception. We're bringing some custom content for the toasts. Oh, wonderful. Yes. We have a full projector system in the reception hall. HDMI connection. You'll just need to coordinate with our in-house tech, Carlos. He'll be there from 4 p.m. onward for setup. Perfect. And during the reception, is it easy to switch between presentations? Like if multiple people want to show content during toasts? Absolutely. Carlos will have a laptop station set up. Anyone can just hand him a USB drive or connect their device. It's very seamless. Marcus gave me a thumbs up. That's great. Thanks so much, Diana. He hung up. You're terrifying, I said. I'm helpful, he grinned. So, here's the plan. You arrive at the wedding with the presentation on a USB drive and backed up on your phone. During the toast portion, you approach the AV tech Carlos and tell him you want to give a toast with visuals. Hand him the drive. He'll load it up. What if Sarah or my parents try to stop me once they realize what I'm doing? They won't have time. The whole presentation is 37 slides. If you advance every 8 seconds, you're done in 5 minutes. By the time anyone processes what's happening, you'll be halfway through. I saved the presentation to 3 USB drives, backed it up to cloud storage, downloaded it to my phone. Marcus and I rehearsed the timing. I practiced clicking through slides while speaking the minimal narration necessary. Slide 3. In 18 months, Sarah received $47,283. Click. Slide 4. I received $300. Click. Slide 5. That's a ratio of 157 to 1. By Friday night, I had the presentation memorized. The timing down to the second. The technical execution planned. Sarah's wedding was 8 days away. My phone buzzed. Mom. Excited to see you at the wedding. Let me know if you need help with hotel. We're covering rooms for family at the Holiday Inn. I stared at the message. They were offering to pay for my hotel room, probably $200. They'd spent $47,000 on Sarah in 18 months. I typed back, I'm all set. See you there. I didn't add a heart emoji. Marcus looked over my shoulder. You're really doing this. I'm really doing this. Good. He raised his coffee mug. To the truth. I clinked my mug against his. To the receipts. The week before the wedding, I became methodical. I wasn't angry anymore. Not in the hot, reactive way I'd been the night of graduation. That rage had crystallized into something colder, more precise, surgical. I made lists. Technical requirements. 3 USB drives, primary, backup, emergency backup. Presentation downloaded to phone. HDMI adapter for phone. In case USB fails. Laptop charged and loaded, final failsafe. Timing. Arrive at venue at 4:30 p.m. Ceremony starts at 5. Locate Carlos, AV Tech, during cocktail hour. Introduce myself. Establish rapport. Wait for toast to begin, typically 45 minutes into reception. Approach podium after best man's speech. Execute presentation. 5 minutes maximum. Exit strategy. Marcus drives separately, parks near exit. I keep car keys in jacket pocket. Phone fully charged for Uber backup. Hotel room booked 15 miles away, non-refundable, under Marcus's name. Marcus reviewed my checklist on Tuesday. You've planned this like a military operation. Because it is. I was testing the USB drives for the 4th time, making sure each one loaded the presentation correctly. I get one shot. If the tech fails, or if someone stops me before I finish, it's over. No one's going to stop you. He leaned against my desk. You'll walk up there looking like you're about to give a normal congratulatory toast. By the time they realize what's happening, you'll be on slide 15. And if my dad rushes the stage, then 200 people will watch a corporate lawyer physically assault his son at a wedding, which honestly just proves your point more effectively. I hadn't thought about it that way. Besides, Marcus continued, I'll be sitting 3 tables away. If anyone moves toward you aggressively, I'll intercept. You don't have to do that. I know. He grabbed one of the USB drives, examined it. But you had my back when my ex tried to sabotage my senior project, and you helped me move twice. And you've listened to me complain about my thesis advisor for 6 months straight. He set the drive down. I'm not letting you do this alone. Something tight in my chest loosened slightly. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Thank me when we're safely in the car driving away from the most awkward wedding reception in Massachusetts history. I printed a physical copy of the presentation as backup, 37 pages, slid them into a manila folder. If every piece of technology failed simultaneously, I could still hold up the screenshots one by one. I wasn't leaving anything to chance. On Thursday, I got my suit dry cleaned. Navy blue. Professional. The kind of outfit that said, responsible adult giving a heartfelt toast. Not scorched earth revenge. On Friday, I rehearsed the verbal components one final time. Marcus sat in our living room pretending to be the wedding audience, while I clicked through slides and delivered the minimal narration. Slide 12. March 3rd. I asked my mother for $300 to repair my car. Click. She told me they were too tight with wedding expenses. Click. 3 days later, she sent Sarah $600 for dress alterations. Click. My voice stayed level. Factual. No emotion bleeding through. Marcus stopped me after slide 20. You sound like a documentary narrator. Is that bad? No, it's perfect. He gestured for me to continue. Emotion would give them room to dismiss you as hysterical or bitter. But this sounds like evidence being presented in court. It's much more devastating. I finished the run-through in 4 minutes and 43 seconds. One more thing, Marcus said. After the last slide, don't apologize, don't explain. Just say, thank you, and walk away. Let the silence do the work. You've thought about this a lot. I've been thinking about this all week. He stood up. Your parents humiliated you publicly. Whether they meant to or not, that Instagram post and those empty chairs were public humiliation. You're just returning the favor with receipts. That night, I barely slept. Not from anxiety, from anticipation. I kept imagining the moment the first slide would appear on that projection screen. The confused faces, the dawning realization. The moment my mother understood that everyone was about to see exactly what she'd done. At 3 a.m., my phone buzzed. Sarah. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. It means so much that you're coming. I stared at the message for a full minute. Sarah didn't know. She had no idea what I was about to do. Part of me felt guilty about that, a small part. Then I remembered her brunch post. The champagne. The caption about how blessed she was. The guilt evaporated. I turned off my phone and went back to sleep. June 26th arrived with the same cruel perfect weather as graduation day. 78 degrees, cloudless, golden afternoon light that made everything look like a wedding magazine spread. I put on my navy suit at 3 p.m. Checked my jacket pockets. Car keys, wallet, phone, USB drives. Patted each pocket twice to confirm. Marcus appeared in my doorway already dressed. Gray suit, blue tie. He looked like he was about to attend a funeral. You ready? No. Good. If you were ready, I'd be worried. He grabbed his keys. I'll drive separately. Meet you there. The estate at Moraine Farm was 40 minutes north. I drove in silence, hands steady on the wheel, presentation notes on the passenger seat even though I'd memorized every word. I arrived at 4:35 p.m. The venue was exactly as expensive as Sarah's Instagram had promised. Historic barn converted into an event space, with exposed beams and string lights and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking manicured gardens. The kind of place that cost $30,000 just for the space rental. Guest parking was already half full. I recognized cars belonging to aunts and uncles and family friends, people who'd watched me grow up, people who thought they knew my family. I sat in my car for 3 minutes, breathing. Then I got out. The ceremony was outdoors. 200 white chairs arranged in neat rows, an arch covered in white roses and ivy, a string quartet playing something classical and romantic. I slipped into a seat in the back row. Watched guests arrive. Watched my parents walk down the aisle to their seats in the front row, my mother in a lavender mother of the bride dress that probably cost $800, my father in a tailored tuxedo. They looked happy, proud, completely unaware. The ceremony started at 5:07. Sarah walked down the aisle in her $8,000 Vera Wang dress. She looked beautiful, genuinely happy. I watched her marry Derek, a decent guy, actually, who'd always been kind to me on the rare occasions we'd met. I felt nothing. Just cold clarity. The ceremony lasted 23 minutes. Vows exchanged, rings presented, kiss, applause. Everyone moved to cocktail hour in the adjacent garden space. I found Carlos immediately. He was setting up the AV station in the reception barn exactly where Marcus said he'd be. Hey, Carlos? I approached with my most friendly smile. I'm Ethan, bride's brother. I'm planning to give a toast later with some slides. Just wanted to introduce myself. He shook my hand. Sure, man, no problem. You got the presentation on a drive? Yep. I patted my pocket. I'll bring it over when it's time. Sounds good. We usually do toasts about 45 minutes into dinner service. I'll give you a heads up. Perfect. I grabbed a drink from the bar whiskey, neat, and found Marcus near the edge of the garden. Carlos is set, I said quietly. 45 minutes into dinner. Marcus nodded. Your parents haven't seen you yet. I know. I'm avoiding them. Smart. Keep it that way until the toast. Less chance they'll sense something's wrong. We stood there nursing our drinks, watching 200 people celebrate Sarah's happiness while I counted down the minutes until I destroyed it. Dinner was called at 6:15. Everyone filed into the reception barn, round tables with white linens and elaborate centerpieces. Head table on a raised platform where Sarah and Derek sat with the wedding party. I was seated at table 14, near the back, with distant cousins I barely knew. My parents were at table 1, right next to the head table. Marcus was at table 9, positioned perfectly between me and the exit. The salad course arrived at 6:32. Main course at 7:04. At 7:18, the DJ announced that toasts would begin. My heart rate didn't change, stayed perfectly steady. The maid of honor went first. A sweet speech about friendship and love, and how Sarah had always been destined for greatness. Applause. The best man went second. Funny stories about Derek. A joke about how he'd upgraded from dating to marriage. More applause. Then the DJ's voice. If anyone else would like to say a few words, now's the time. I stood up, walked toward the podium. I saw my mother notice me, saw her face light up with surprised delight her son was going to give a toast. How sweet. I reached Carlos, handed him the USB drive. Ready when you are, I said quietly. He plugged it in. The projection screen behind the head table flickered to life. I stepped up to the microphone. 200 faces turned toward me. My parents were smiling. Sarah was beaming. I clicked the remote in my hand. Slide 1 appeared on the screen. A Tale of Two Children. The financial reality of the Rivera family. The smiles began to fade. I don't pause. Click. Slide 2. Over the past 18 months, how much financial support did Robert and Linda Rivera provide to their 2 adult children? My voice is steady. Documentary narrator. Just facts. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here to celebrate Sarah and Derek. Before we continue, I'd like to share some information about our family. Click. Slide 3. Sarah's support. Total. $47,283. The screen fills with Venmo transactions. Dates. Amounts. My mother's cheerful payment notes. For the dress, $1,200 for bridal shower deposit. In the past 18 months, my parents have provided Sarah with $47,283 in financial support. Murmurs ripple through the crowd, heads turning. People squinting at the screen. Click. Slide 4. Ethan's support. Total, $300. 4 transactions. $50. $100. $50. $100. In the same time period, they provided me with $300. The murmuring gets louder. My mother's smile is gone. She's staring at me with an expression I can't read. Confusion, horror, dawning realization. Click. Slide 5. The ratio. Sarah. $2,627. Month. Ethan. $16.67. Month. Ratio. 157 to 1. That's a ratio of 157 to 1. For every dollar they gave me, they gave Sarah 157. My father is standing up. Ethan, stop this right now. I don't stop. Click. Slide 6. For perspective, Sarah received more money in 1 week than Ethan received in 18 months. Dad, please sit down. I'm not finished. A cousin Aunt Teresa shouts from table 7. Let him talk, Robert. My father sits. His face is purple. Click. Slide 7. March 3rd. My text message. Screenshot. Mom, my car broke down. Head gasket. I need $300 for the repair. Can you help? On March 3rd, I asked my mother for $300 to fix my car. This was her response. Click. Slide 8. Mom's response. We're really tight with wedding expenses. Can you take the bus? Someone gasps. Click. Slide 9. March 6th. Venmo screenshot. Linda Rivera. Sarah Rivera. $600. For dress alterations, sweetie. 3 days after telling me they were too tight to help, my parents sent Sarah $600. Twice what I'd asked for. My mother is crying. Actual tears. Her makeup running. I feel nothing. Click. Slide 10. April 19th. My text. Dad, Can you help with graduation cap and gown rental? $65. Click. Slide 11. Dad's response. Son, you're about to have a master's degree. You need to start being financially independent. Click. Slide 12. April 23rd. Venmo screenshot. Linda Rivera, Sarah Rivera. $850. Bachelorette party bar tab. 4 days later, my mother sent Sarah $850 for party expenses. The room is completely silent now, except for my voice and the click of the slides. Even the catering staff has stopped moving. Click. Slide 13. May 13th, 6:47 a.m. Screenshot of Dad's text. All caps. Can't make it. Sarah's bridesmaids need us. Celebrate tonight. Proud of you. This is the text I received on my graduation morning, from MIT, where I'd just earned my bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering, magna cum laude. Click. Slide 14, May 13th, 9:47 a.m. Instagram screenshot, Mom and Dad, champagne glasses, the Langham, timestamp visible. Caption. Celebrating our beautiful daughter's special weekend. Number mother of the bride. Number proud mom. This is what my parents were doing at 9:47 that morning, at the Langham, Boston, drinking $40 champagne. Click. Slide 15. Context. MIT graduation ceremony, 10 a.m. The Langham, Boston, 3.8 miles from Kresge Auditorium. Drive time, 12 minutes. They were 12 minutes away. My mother is openly sobbing now. My father has his head in his hands. Sarah is frozen, staring at the screen like she's seeing it for the first time. Click. Slide 16. The empty chairs. Marcus's photo. Front row, Kresge Auditorium. 2 empty seats, white roses. Other families on either side, taking photos, celebrating. The silence in the room is deafening. These are the seats I saved for my parents. I put white roses on them when I realized they weren't coming. Someone in the back is crying. Not my mother, someone else. Click. Slide 17. The cost. Itemized receipt from the Langham. Bridesmaids brunch. $4,847. This is what they chose instead. A $4,800 brunch. Click. Slide 18. Context. 4 years of MIT tuition. Ethan paid alone. $67,000. Student loans. One brunch my parents attended instead of graduation. $4,847. For context. I'm on slide 18. Halfway through. No one has moved. No one has interrupted. My father tries to stand again. Aunt Teresa, bless her, grabs his arm and pulls him back down. Robert, sit down and listen to your son. I keep going. The next slides document everything. The birthday disparities, the Christmas gifts, the furniture Sarah got, the allowances, the spring break trips. Every ask I made that was denied. Every payment to Sarah that happened days later. I show the 10-year comparison. The birthday cakes. The graduation gifts. The college move-ins. $127,000 spent on Sarah from age 18 to 28. $11,000 spent on me during the same range. Click. 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 The numbers speak for themselves. At slide 35, I pause. Is this favoritism, or is this abandonment? I look directly at my mother. I loved you. I trusted you. I believed you when you said money was tight. I worked 30 hours a week through college. I graduated with $67,000 in debt. I ate ramen and pasta and wore the same 3 shirts for 2 years because I thought we were struggling. My voice cracks slightly. I steady it. But we weren't struggling. You just didn't want to spend money on me. Click. Slide 36. I'll let you decide. Click. Slide 37. Thank you for being here for Sarah's special day. I hope you understand why I needed you to see this. I set down the remote. The projection screen goes dark. 200 people sit in absolute silence. Then Aunt Teresa starts clapping. Slowly. Deliberately. 3 other people join her. Then more. Half the room is applauding. The other half sits in shocked silence. My mother is sobbing so hard she can barely breathe. My father is staring at me with an expression of pure hatred. Sarah is crying too, but she's not looking at me. She's looking at our parents. I step away from the microphone, walk toward the exit. Marcus is already standing, falling into step beside me. We're 10 feet from the door when my father's voice cuts through the room. "You ungrateful piece of—" Aunt Teresa's voice, louder. "Robert! Sit down!" We walk out into the summer evening. Behind us, chaos erupts, shouting, crying. The DJ trying to restart the music. Marcus hands me my car keys. "That," he says quietly, "was the most brutally honest thing I've ever witnessed." My hands are shaking now, adrenaline finally hitting. "Get in," Marcus says. "I'm driving." We get into his car. He drives. I don't look back. My phone starts buzzing before we're even out of the parking lot. 17 text messages in 30 seconds. I turn it off. "Hotel?" Marcus asks. "Hotel." We drive in silence for 5 minutes. Then I start laughing. It comes out of nowhere, hysterical, uncontrollable laughter. Marcus glances over, concerned. "Ethan?" "I did it," I gasp between laughs. "I actually did it." "Yeah, you did. 200 people just watched my family implode." "Yeah." The laughter turns into something that might be crying, or might still be laughing. I can't tell anymore. Marcus pulls over, puts the car in park, waits. I sit there shaking, the last 3 hours catching up to me all at once. "You okay?" Marcus asks finally. "No," I say honestly, "but I will be." He nods. Pulls back onto the road. My phone is off, but I know it's exploding. Messages, calls, voicemails. I don't care. For the first time in 4 years, I don't care what my parents think. The truth is out. The receipts are public. And I'm free. I turn my phone back on at 11:47 p.m. 43 missed calls, 86 text messages, 14 voicemails. Marcus and I were sitting in the hotel room he'd booked under his name, a Holiday Inn Express, 15 miles from the venue, far enough that no one from the wedding would accidentally find us. "You ready for this?" Marcus asked, watching me stare at my phone screen. "No, but I need to see." I open the messages. "Mom, 7 texts. How could you do this to your sister? On her wedding day. You are cruel and selfish. We gave you everything. Call me right now. Your father wants to talk to you. Don't bother coming home. Dad." 2 texts. "You're no longer our son. Our lawyer will be contacting you." Sarah, 5 texts. "I can't believe you. You ruined everything. My wedding is destroyed. Everyone's talking about you instead of me. I hate you." Then the other messages started. Aunt Teresa, 3 texts. "Ethan, I had no idea. I'm so sorry. Your parents owe you an apology, not the other way around. Call me when you're ready." "I'm here." Cousin Michelle. "Holy shit. I always thought they were weird about you, but I didn't know it was this bad." Uncle Mike. "Your father called me trying to get me to side with him. I told him to fuck off. Those numbers don't lie." Random college friend who'd been a +1 at the wedding. "Dude, that was the most insane thing I've ever seen. Also, you're a legend." 7 relatives had reached out with support. 12 had reached out with anger. 5 asked if I was okay. Marcus read over my shoulder. "Your dad threatened legal action." "Yeah," Jennifer said he might. I scrolled through the voicemails. Let's see what he's actually claiming. I put the first voicemail on speaker. My father's voice, shaking with rage. "You humiliated your mother. You humiliated this entire family. What you did was slander, and I will sue you into the ground. You hear me? Everything you showed was taken out of context, and you will pay for this." The voicemail ended. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Out of context. How do you take $47,000 out of context? You don't. I saved the voicemail. But he's a lawyer. He has to threaten something. The next voicemail was my mother, crying so hard I could barely understand her words. Something about betrayal and how she'd given me life, and this was how I repaid her. I deleted it. I didn't need to hear that again. By midnight, 3 wedding guests had posted about the toast on social media. By 3 a.m., one video had gone viral. Someone had recorded the entire presentation on their phone. 847,000 views. The comments were split 50-50. Half calling me a hero for exposing financial abuse. Half calling me a monster for ruining my sister's wedding. I turned my phone off again and went to sleep. When I woke up at 9 a.m., the video had 2.3 million views. The legal threat never materialized. 2 weeks after the wedding, I received a letter from my father's lawyer, not a lawsuit, just a cease and desist, demanding I stop spreading false and defamatory information about the Rivera family. I forwarded it to Jennifer Kowalski. She called me 3 hours later, laughing. This is the weakest cease and desist I've seen in 15 years. They're not suing because they know they'd lose. Everything you presented was factual and documented. She paused. However, your sister did file for a restraining order. My stomach dropped. What? Temporary restraining order. Claims you're harassing her and causing emotional distress. It was denied by the judge yesterday. Why? Because you haven't contacted her since the wedding. You can't harass someone by not talking to them. The judge saw right through it. Your family's trying to use the legal system to punish you. Jennifer's tone turned serious. But Ethan, I need to ask. Do you want to pursue a civil case against your parents? I'd been thinking about that for 2 weeks. What would that actually accomplish? Monetary damages, maybe. 30 to 40,000 if we can prove intentional infliction of emotional distress. But it would take a year, cost you $5,000 minimum, and keep you entangled with them legally. She waited. The question is, do you need their money, or do you need them out of your life? I thought about those empty chairs. I thought about the 6:47 a.m. text. I thought about 4 years of being told money is tight, while Sarah got thousands. I need them out of my life. I said. Then don't sue. You've already won. The public exposure did more damage than a court case ever could. Let it end here. So I did. No lawsuit. No legal battle. Just boundaries. I sent one final email to my parents. I will not be contacting you again. Do not contact me. If you need to reach me for legal or medical emergencies, go through Aunt Teresa. Otherwise, we're done. Ethan. I blocked their numbers, blocked their emails, blocked them on every social media platform. My mother tried to reach me through cousins, through old family friends, through my former high school teachers. I blocked them all. My father tried a different approach. He called Marcus. Marcus let it go to voicemail, then forwarded me the recording. Tell Ethan he's making a mistake. Family is forever. He'll regret this when we're gone. I deleted it. Family is forever unless you spend 4 years proving that some family members matter more than others. The family split happened fast. Aunt Teresa, my father's younger sister, stopped speaking to my parents entirely. She called me a week after the wedding and apologized for not seeing the pattern sooner. I always thought Robert was just focused on Sarah because she was the first grandchild, you know? I didn't realize it was this systemic. Her voice was tight. I'm sorry, Ethan, I should have paid more attention. It's not your fault. It is a little. I saw you working through college. I saw them throwing money at Sarah's wedding. I just didn't connect the dots. She paused. For what it's worth, I'm proud of you. What you did took guts. 3 other relatives sided with me. Uncle Mike, cousin Michelle, and my grandmother on my mother's side, who apparently had been trying to tell my mother for years that she was playing favorites. The rest sided with my parents, or stayed neutral, which amounted to the same thing. Holiday gatherings became impossible to navigate. Aunt Teresa started hosting separate Thanksgivings and Christmases for Ethan's side of the family. 4 people versus 20. I didn't care. Those 4 people had actually shown up. Sarah's marriage lasted 14 months. I heard about the divorce through cousin Michelle, who'd remained friendly with Sarah despite everything. Apparently Derek's family had seen the viral video. His mother had started asking questions about financial dynamics and future in-laws. The pressure built until Derek's parents convinced him that marrying into that kind of family dysfunction was a mistake. Sarah blamed me for the divorce. She sent me one email, 3 months after the wedding, that got past my filters. I hope you're happy. My marriage is over. My friends won't talk to me. Everyone looks at me like I'm some spoiled brat. You destroyed my life because you were jealous. I'll never forgive you. I didn't respond. But I did think about it for a long time. Was I responsible for her divorce? Maybe partially. The video had certainly contributed to the family's scrutiny. Did I feel guilty? No. I'd told the truth. With evidence. With receipts. I hadn't lied or exaggerated or invented drama. I'd simply shown people what my parents had spent and what they'd said. If that truth was damaging enough to end Sarah's marriage, that said more about the truth than about me. My parents moved 6 months after the wedding. Not far, just to a smaller house across town. They claimed they were downsizing for retirement, but Aunt Teresa heard through the family grapevine that they'd refinanced their mortgage twice to pay for the wedding and couldn't afford the payments anymore. My father's law firm had apparently sat him down for a conversation about the viral video and whether it reflected poorly on the firm's reputation. He wasn't fired, but he was quietly moved off several high-profile cases. My mother quit her teaching job, claimed it was too stressful after the wedding incident, but Michelle heard from a friend who worked in the school district that several parents had complained about having that woman teaching their children. Social consequences. Not legal ones, not criminal ones. Just the natural result of 200 people witnessing calculated cruelty and deciding they didn't want to associate with it anymore. By the end of the year, my parents had lost their social circle, their reputation, and their golden child daughter's marriage. They'd also lost me, but they'd lost me long before the wedding. I'd just made it official. It's been 3 years since that wedding speech. I'm 25 now, sitting in a small apartment in Palo Alto that I share with Marcus. We both work in tech. I'm a mechanical engineer at Tesla, designing battery systems for electric vehicles. Marcus is a software engineer at a startup down the street. My student loans are down to $15,000. I paid off $52,000 in 3 years, using the settlement money, my Tesla salary, and aggressive budgeting. By next year, I'll be debt-free. My credit score is 712, up from 580. I have a savings account with actual money in it. I bought a used car that doesn't break down every 3 months. I can afford to eat something other than ramen. For the first time in my adult life, I'm not financially drowning. The therapy helped with the rest. Jennifer had been right. Family fractures leave damage even when you're right, especially when you're right. Because being right doesn't erase 22 years of being second place. It doesn't undo the childhood birthday parties where your cake cost $14. It doesn't retroactively fill those empty chairs at graduation. My therapist, Dr. Patel, helped me process what she called complex family trauma. We worked through the guilt. The part of me that still wondered if I'd overreacted, if I'd been too cruel, if there was a version of that wedding where I'd handled things differently. You showed people documentation of financial abuse, Dr. Patel said during one session. That's not cruelty. That's evidence. But I did it at my sister's wedding. Yes. At an event your parents spent $47,000 planning while they'd given you $300 over 18 months. An event they prioritized over your college graduation. She leaned forward. Ethan, when was the last time your parents apologized to you? I thought about it. Never. Right. Because they don't think they did anything wrong. And if you'd confronted them privately, they would have dismissed you, gaslit you, told you that you were being too sensitive. She set down her notepad. public exposure was the only way to make the truth undeniable. I see Aunt Teresa regularly. She drives down from Massachusetts twice a year to visit, and we video call every few weeks. She's become the family I choose, someone who actually shows up. She told me recently that my mother tried to reach out to her, asking if I'd calmed down yet, and whether I might be ready to move past this. 3 years later, and my mother still thinks I'm the problem. Aunt Teresa told her no. I told Linda that you didn't need to calm down, she needed to wake up. Aunt Teresa recounted over our last video call. I told her that her son sat alone at his MIT graduation while she drank champagne 4 miles away, and if she couldn't see why that was unforgivable, then she didn't deserve a relationship with you. What did she say? She hung up on me. Aunt Teresa smiled grimly. Haven't heard from her since. I haven't spoken to my parents in 3 years. Not a word, not a text, not even through intermediaries. Sarah sent me one more email on what would have been her second anniversary, a long, rambling message about how I'd stolen her happiness and how she hoped I'd feel guilty forever. I didn't respond. I just thought, I didn't steal anything. I just stopped pretending the theft wasn't happening. The viral video eventually died down. It still resurfaces occasionally. Someone on Reddit will repost it with a title like, "Man exposes parents' favoritism at sister's wedding with receipts," and it'll get another few 100,000 views. I don't read the comments anymore. Some people will always think I was wrong to do it at the wedding, that I should have handled it privately, that I'm vindictive and cruel. Those people didn't sit in those empty chairs. The people who matter, the people who actually love me understood. Marcus understood. Aunt Teresa understood. Dr. Patel understood. And honestly, I understand that I deserved better than $16 a month. I understand that I deserved parents who showed up. I understand that standing up for yourself isn't the same as tearing someone else down even when it feels that way. I don't regret the speech. Not the timing. Not the venue. Not the public exposure. Because sometimes the only way to stop being invisible is to make people look. Last month, I got a message from a stranger on LinkedIn. A woman named Jessica, 27, who'd seen the video years ago. She told me her parents had done something similar, funded her brother's entire life while she'd worked her way through nursing school alone. She'd always felt guilty for being resentful. Your video made me realize I wasn't crazy, she wrote. I confronted my parents last year. It didn't go well. We're not speaking. But I'm free now. And I wanted to say thank you. I responded, you don't owe them forgiveness. You only owe yourself peace. She replied with a single word. Exactly. I think about that exchange a lot. About how many people grow up in families where love is conditional, where affection is rationed, where one child gets everything and the other gets the leftovers. About how many people never say anything because family is supposed to be sacred. But family isn't sacred just because it's family. Family is sacred when it's safe, when it's reciprocal, when it shows up. My parents didn't show up, so I showed them the receipts. I'm 25 years old. I have a career I love. I have friends who would drive across the state at 2 a.m. if I needed them. I have a chosen family that actually chooses me back. I have an apartment with furniture I bought myself, a savings account, a future that doesn't involve asking permission or begging for scraps. And I have 2 white roses pressed in a book on my shelf, the ones I placed on those empty chairs 3 years ago. I keep them as a reminder, not of what I lost, but of what I survived, and what I'll never accept again. If you've lived through something similar, financial favoritism, invisible neglect, being the child who was never quite enough, I want you to know something. You're not imagining it. The math doesn't lie. The empty chairs don't lie. The receipts don't lie. And you don't owe anyone your silence, just because they share your DNA. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is tell the truth, hold up the evidence, and walk away from people who will never see you clearly. Sometimes the only way to be free is to stop waiting for an apology that will never come. I'm Ethan Rivera. I graduated from MIT alone, and I'm doing just fine. This is Achiever Betrayed.